All right, Coach, coming to an end of fall ball. Just how do you summarize these past couple of months of practice?
Yeah, I think obviously with the amount of new players that we have, the way this thing started, you know, with all the team building stuff we started the fall with to now, obviously it looks like it's a close group. They're getting along pretty well. There's a long way to go with that, and a lot of the stuff in the season that happens affects that as well. But to this point, they've grown together as a team. Obviously, way better fundamentally than when we started 6 weeks ago. When we started full team, we were nowhere close. And this weekend, at times in the right groupings, it's looked like we have a chance at this thing.
Some place runners, but also some situational practice. Each team scored 10 runs in each of the 3 games. What does that say about your offense and your situation with hitting?
Yeah, well, it's the emphasis of fall, like driving, hitting better with runners in scoring position, putting some pressure on the pitchers, and we got to be better on the mound in that situation. We got to be better defensively, and we need to be better offensively. So in the hitter squad, it's kind of pick your poison on what you're excited about. You're just hoping the guy out there execute pitches. If the ball's put in play, we execute it defensively, and you're looking for some damage, which we did see offensively today. And some guys made some massive adjustments, not only today, but in the last couple of weeks with some mechanical stuff, and you saw some in-game adjustments today from several hitters, which is nice to see.
You have quite the experienced outfield this time around. Of course, you have Williamson and Diamez. Williamson got a couple homers there tonight, but you got two very experienced transfers in the portal, and you have two freshman outfielders that have shown some highlights. Just how do you kind of look at this outfield?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it starts with Willie and Diamez, what they've done so far in their careers. And J.D. Rogers is as gifted of an athlete as any of them out there. John Smith obviously had a lot of success at this previous stop. And Steven Chukka and Zach Malvasio have absolutely really impressed. Not only the offensive stuff, but the defensive stuff. And there's really nothing that Zach Malvasio hasn't done, from the base running to the defense to the throwing, which you saw here tonight, and some of the hitability and the power. So future's really bright out there.
Doubling down on that a little bit, do you think that you guys kind of struck gold with Malvasia? I didn't really hear too much about him, but it seems like he's playing all over the place, making great plays everywhere.
Yeah, no, I mean, he was a guy that going into the draft we were concerned about losing just because of the power and what he did in high school with the home runs. And I thought he was a really good player before he got here, and he's been better at all of the things, honestly, than we probably expected, and we thought he was going to be really good.
Which player or players has seen the greatest development from the start of the fall to now?
I mean, I think you could look at some of those freshman pitchers. Rosado obviously was really good. Brady Montreal. You can go up and down the list of some of those freshman arms. I think Anthony Lariz, who is a redshirt freshman, didn't pitch much last year, but has been outstanding all fall. Jordan Lodis, from the start of the fall to now, he looks like he's ready to do this thing at a high level at shortstop and at the plate. Made massive strides almost at every phase of the fall, from the individual stuff to the team stuff. He's kind of jumped up every single time and answered the challenge. So, I mean, you can go up and down the list, but those guys stick out right now.
Going back to when you were a player, did you have anything close to the Black and Gold World Series when you played here? Was it named something differently?
No, we didn't do that. That's kind of what I wanted to do when I came back, because that's something that we've done in some of the other places I've been over the last 15 years, and I think it's a great way to end the fall, a great way to kind of break up the monotony of what fall practice is. That's kind of why we space out the fall games too, because it's hard to play yourself for for 6 weeks, and going down to Key West, then getting back to some of the fundamentals, then going over to Rollins was great, which was a great environment with what they provided for us, and we were just fortunate enough to go down there. Then having another week to lock in, and then having this to finish was great.
Doubling down on that, do they get anything? Do the Lopez Locos get anything for winning the World Series, or is that just
there's steaks
oh, nice.
up
That's
there
awesome.
for the winners, and hot dogs and hamburgers for the non-winners.
So this time last year, we saw Andrew Williamson come back from summer ball and really became the Andrew Williamson we got last season. Are there any other players that kind of developed over summer ball where you saw them leave and then they came back? It's whoa, what a development.
Yeah, not really surprised by that, but two guys that went out this summer and really pitched well. We talked about Anthony Lariz. He had a great summer up in Lima, and then Drew Bellis had an unbelievable summer in the Cal Ripken League for the Bethesda Big Train, and outside of maybe one outing this fall, he's been really, really special.
Any positions looking good as far as who you're kind of going with this spot?
No, I think you know that Willie and Diamez are going to be out there in the outfield, and I mean, Landon Moran's played really, really well at first base. Outside of that, there's a bunch of guys that we can kind of fit in certain spots, and I like the variety. I like the versatility of it, both offensively and defensively.
How important is it going to be for a team like this to have that type of versatility, have that type of the placement where you can have a depth in each of the positions?
Yeah, and I think like in our league, if you don't have some versatility as far as left and right at some position groups, which we do have, to kind of save some guys from some tough matchups and the premium bullpen arms that we do have in this league, and the depth of it for injuries too. Like I said, 2 years ago we got to the regional final, and if we lost a catcher or an infielder, I don't know, we're gonna have to play pitchers at positions. So that injuries are part of it. I hope we go through this whole thing healthy, but been through this enough that's not realistic. So excited about that depth.
You have quite the pair of utility players in Braden Kalise and Mason Wilson there. Kalise in the infield, and then Wilson, who was able to play catcher and outfield. We saw him do that during this weekend. Just how huge is it for their capabilities there?
Yeah, Braden, like, he's not only a gifted defender at all of those spots, but he's a mature, like, he has some feel for baseball. He knows the system in and out. He almost like a coach to the rest of the guys until they figure this thing out as far as where we need to be on some of this stuff. And Mason Wilson spent most of the fall catching, and then a couple weeks ago we kind of just moved him to the outfield, and he took to it really well. And we got to find a way to get his bat in the lineup as much as we can.
Scrimmages are over, but is there any other practice or anything else that is going to be behind the scenes?
Yeah, we basically go back into our individual part of this fall, so we'll spend the next 2 weeks with some individualized player development plans that we can start implementing so they can take it home over the break, because once we get to the week of Thanksgiving, we can't do anything with them, and we don't get them back till January 12th. So we kind of make that plan for them, that player development plan that they can take home and really attack and come back ready to go.
Who stuck out to you in terms of being candidacy for starting rotation so far?
Yeah, I think you look at Braden Smith, the transfer, Joey Trombley, another transfer. Cam Wicker's been really good as of late. Mateo Gray has really made a jump. That's another guy that you can probably talk about with the summer ball, with the good summer, with not only the pitching, but at the end of the fall, we kind of really focused on the pitching stuff because that has taken such a leap forward, and he's challenging for one of those rotation pieces. Grant Siegel, Matt Sauser, there's a bunch of guys in that mix.
We saw Mateo a little bit at first base last year. What was what made it the switch to?
Well, he had a little injury in the fall, and the stuff on the mound has taken such a leap forward that we wanted to kind of finish the fall. And him, it's a lot to hit, to play a position, and go out there and do the things that he was doing on the mound. So we adjusted a little bit at the end of this fall just to save his body, where he was just hitting and pitching. So that's still out there, the two-way thing for him.
Are there any positions that you would consider wide open at the minute? Or which one's the most wide open?
You're still trying to figure out what the right mix in the infield and who's where. There's 4 or 5 guys in there in the mix for the infield. As far as where you put them, that's still to be figured out.
I know we're just kind of recently coming off of the World Series. Saw how big that was. Shohei Ohtani doing what he did, Game 3 and 7, going really long. With all these eyes on baseball right now, how much has the game really been gotten out there for you and being a part of that?
Yeah, I think when you look at that World Series, that was really great baseball. Like, some of these World Series that I've experienced haven't been that much of the stuff that comes up, and we talk about it like, guys, watch that stuff. There's so much to learn in the little parts of the games of that World Series, and the emotion of it and the back and forth. Like, that was, I mean, you can't even create that drama unless baseball does it. Like, there's no, you can talk about the story and those guys that hit home runs and guys coming off the bench and what's happening. The game kind of writes that stuff itself, and nobody else could come up with that. And that was one of the greatest World Series outside of my last one that I love, because I'm a Cardinal fan in 11. But that was outstanding.
Are there any noticeable differences so far from this year's squad to last year's squad?
I mean, I think this team's coming together. It's a pretty close-knit group here. They've been showing some ultra competitiveness and some fight. Like, yesterday's scrimmage almost ended in a little fight between family. Like, that's okay. Like, they were getting after each other. To me, that shows me it kind of means something to you. And that intensity, I hope, with consistency, will carry over into the spring.
Time for 1 or 2 more.
What has Coach Gierke brought to this staff for you, and what attracted you to bring him on?
He's a really good person and recruiter and teacher. Really good baseball coach. And like, when you give a player a compliment, you tell him he's a really good baseball player, that's about the highest compliment you can get. And when you can tell somebody like him that he's just a really good, solid baseball coach, with the fundamentals and the motivation part of it and the toughness. He's a tough guy. I've known him almost all my life since I moved to Florida, and just glad he's here.
That's good.
All right, what's the biggest thing you want to see this team do through these individual practices so you're able to send them off knowing like you did everything you could?
Yeah, there's some things each guy has individually for the baseball side of it that they'll need to attack and give them a chance to be better when we come back January. But this next phase is more about the strength and conditioning phase for them, and making sure that this is their one shot to really get after it in the weight room and the conditioning part of it and get ready for February.
Awesome. Thanks, Coach.
Thanks.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it.